Now we're going to go ahead and look at individual widgets. You'll notice I already have the emulator open from the last video that I made. This is just to show that the emulator is independent from the IDE, and you don't have to shut the emulator down after every single video. You can just leave it open in the background. That way you don't have that annoying startup time. So we're going to create a new project. Let's call this button 1. Now, as this is configuring the project, ask yourself, did you follow the last tutorial? Control A, type the word tutorial, hit enter, and all the code is right there ready. If not, I strongly encourage you to go back and make the live template. It'll make your life a lot easier. All right, so we have our main function, which is the entry point. We're calling run app, which is making a new material app. The home is the my app class, which is stateful. So we are creating a state here, and we're holding that state in memory. The state simply extends the state of my app. Notice the circular reference here. My app is creating a state which extends my app. Why is that a thing? Why is there a circular reference there? The reason is actually very simple. The my app itself, think of it as yourself. You're the application. The state, however, is the clothes that you're wearing. They're your clothes, so you have to have a reference back to who you are. But they're not you. They're your clothes. They're what you're presenting to the world. And we know we're presenting because of this widget build function. Anytime you see widget build, think render. We're rendering something to the screen here. All right, we've got all of this in here. We've already talked a little bit about scaffold, the app bar, and the body. What we're going to be focused on is right here. So let's go ahead and hit comma, enter. And then up here, let's make a new variable. We're going to say we're going to run this. Let me pull the emulator back up. It'll take just a moment to build and push this out. And you can see it says hello world. What we're doing here is we've made a value. That value is assigned in the value property of the text component. Now we're going to actually change that value. We want to call the setState function. And we're going to, within the setState function, change the value of that variable. Now, we're going to make a new raised button. Notice how the onPressed function says null. And let's just, for clarity, do that, onPressed. We want to set the child. This is a common design pattern. Let's go ahead and look at the emulator, and you can see how the hot reloading's already taken place. It says hello world, and click me is grayed out. It's grayed out because the onPressed is null. If we simply say onPressed and give it a reference to that function, hot reloading should take care of it, and suddenly it's enabled. When we click OK, watch the hello world. Suddenly it says my name is Brian. That is an example of a raised button along with changing the state. So what we've really done here is we've set the raised button, onPressed, and in the onPress we're saying setState. And we can set as many variables as we want. Flutter will track these variables for us, and it will automatically update knowing that the state has changed. This comes with the caveat that this is done in the state class. So we've got pretty much the same code. We're going to try this a little bit differently just to see what happens. We're going to say hello world. We're going to say void pressed. And this is where we're going to deviate a little bit here. We're going to say string value. And in here we're going to set state. In the state, we're going to say value equals the value. So we're setting our private value to this function value. Down here is where things are going to get a little interesting. Hot reload should have picked that up. Whoa, it has stopped. Let's run that again, see what happened here. Unfortunately, that's one of the issues with mobile development, is sometimes things don't go the way you expect them. So while that's going, I'm just going to continue typing. All right, let's see if the emulator's up. So the emulator's up. It doesn't have the last changes that I put on. If I hit save, hot reload should take over. It's grayed out because on press is null. This is where things get a little tricky. Just going to say hello and my name. You notice how suddenly it says the expression here is a type void and therefore cannot be used. What is going on there? Well, what's going on is we need an actual function to pass it to. So we're going to make an anonymous function that simply returns the onPressed with hello. Therefore, we're actually returning a function into that. Remember, in Dart, functions are objects as well. So now, suddenly, this works as expected. Now let's look at the difference between the flat button and the raised button. Let's go ahead and make a variable. And let's actually set this to just hello world so we can see it. Let's make a function. In here, we're going to set state. And we're going to set it to the current date and time. Now, we've seen this before, nothing new. So let's just grab that, copy and paste, and let's change this to flat button. You can see how because it follows a similar design pattern, we can literally just copy and paste and all of our code's reused. Let's hot reload that out, and you can see there's our hello world with click me and click me. And if we click the first button, we can see the date time change, and the flat button looks a little bit different, but does the exact same thing. Let's go ahead and look at the icon button. First, we're going to make a variable. Now, we want to make some functions. Let's go ahead and set state. And in here, we're just going to say increment the value. And in here, let's make another one. Let's call this subtract. We're going to decrement the value. Going to add the value there. Now let's make some icon buttons. can see how it has an icon and a press. So the first thing we need to do is make a new icon. Flutter is actually very cool in the fact that it comes preloaded with some icons. So we're going to say icons.add, and then the onPressed, we're just going to say and from here we want to do remove. Let's go ahead and hot reload that. And as you can see, our application now has value equals with a plus and a minus. These are now active and they are part of the state.